I love you, Allah.
The Prophet ﷺ, he says, all of my ummah will be forgiven. They will be shown mercy. Please, very important hadith. Make sure you take this home. All of my ummah will be forgiven and it will be shown mercy, except the ones that did their haram openly, publicly. For these people, irrespective of whether it was a major or a minor sin, irrespective, they did their haram openly in front of people with no shame. The Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for them there is no rahmah. And then he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the authentic hadith, he continues on to give an example. He said, he is like the one who did his haram in the cover of night, and Allah provided a blanket over the haram that he did. Yani Allah covered it for him. Then in the morning he wakes up and he tears up the blanket that Allah put over his sin, and he starts to tell the people, Wallah, I did this and I did this and I did this. For this person, there is no rahmah. And we need to understand, my brothers, again, we've established we all do wrong, we all make mistakes. We know this. But the person that does his sin openly, publicly, with no shame, he tears up the cover that Allah provided for him. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, for this person, there is no rahmah for him on the Day of Judgment. So let me give you an example, because this is very important. Wallah, I'm not picking on the sin, so please, again, I'm not picking on the sin, I'm just using this particular sin as an example. Smoking, for instance. I understand many brothers, they started smoking when they were young. It's a bad habit. Wallah, sincerely from my heart, I ask Allah to make it easy for all brothers and sisters that smoke, to make it easy for them. I understand it's a very disgusting habit, it's a very expensive one. Anyway, you smoking is a sin. Some of the ulama say that it's a minor sin, it's not something. You smoking is a minor sin. But you smoking outside, publicly, in front of people, without any shame whatsoever, that's you doing that action publicly far supersedes the cigarette itself initially. What you're doing publicly overshadowed the cigarette in itself, and this has become major in the eyes of Allah. Because we have a responsibility of protecting our community and the society in which we live in. Does that make sense? So I smoke. Ya akhi, whatever it is, cigarettes, shisha, argila, whatever it is. You should be having that cigarette in private, in secret, where no one is there. You're not there with friends. You're supposed to be having that cigarette, and you're supposed to be feeling ashamed about it. Maybe you have an addiction, brother, wallah, I'm trying to get rid of it, it's difficult. But when I start smoking my cigarette with friends, and we're giggling and we're laughing and other people can see us, and I'm smoking in front of my kids, this is far worse than smoking. And these are the actions that, when a'udhu billah, will lead us to have no rahmah from Allah. And wallah, my brothers, we don't want this. So if you have habits, we all do, we all have things that we're not proud of, we all have things that we're ashamed of. But you have to be cautious that I do what I do secretly behind closed doors, and that I don't openly expose this. Because in openly exposing it, guess what? It becomes worse than the sin itself.